There we go. All right. Very interesting year. Already going to start out with something very interesting. I don't know why it's being all choppy like this, but I was going to do today's show completely in Restream, which apparently is just mostly choppy today. Although the scroll at the bottom tends to be very fine. So today is sort of going to be a recap. I want to hear from you. Let me know if my audio is coming through choppy as well. I want to hear from you because today is going to be, let's see, where am I over? I want to talk about 2025. What are you looking for in 2025? We're going to talk about some gear. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about what's going on and some cool things I see, some cool things you might see or know about, things you're excited about, things you're not so excited about. We'll see what's going on. But as always, I will carry us through today's show. If you are new to the StreamTek show, it normally doesn't jitter like this. And I haven't changed anything, although Windows just does automatically update everything. So I cannot vouch for the Windows 11 machine that this runs on, but I will move not very much so that hopefully it's not that noticeable. And is my camera? Yeah, it's focused on me. All right, so let me get this out of the way. Thank you all for being here. Yes, this is a new day, same time, different day. I'm normally on Tuesdays, but in 2025, I've got a new streaming client that is going to be, that has booked up all my Tuesdays. So I had to move the show to Wednesday. So that will be today's show is going to be on a Wednesday, and it will be on a Wednesday moving forward. So Tuesdays are booked up. Now, if the client moves to Wednesdays, then I'll move to Tuesdays. I can do that because it's my show. And that's one of the really nice things about doing your own streaming content is that you have the flexibility to produce things on your own schedule and reach out to audiences. We got a pretty decent audience today, and I also wanted to invite everyone, not everyone, those who are so inclined. What if I do this one? Is this one better? There you go. Join the show. We're going to have a discussion together. I've set up a second pair of headphones here. And as I said, we're going to do this in Restream. So I don't know why it's so glitchy. Rebooted the computer, rebooted the interface, and it's not glitchy coming out of the Director Mini. So we will be able to bring on other guests, or I will. Wow, it's just like jumping all over the place. Maybe if I unplug my camera and plug it back in. Do you think that would be a good idea? Let me know. But, and Restream itself has done some updates and upgrades. So they've got this new customize icon up here. And I think it's kind of worthy of a show, another show talking about the changes to Restream that have come into play. But that'll be down the road, and it'll be kind of interesting to do a show about Restream when the output of today's show is in Restream. So we'll see how that happens. Al is good morning, still on winter break, but watching from Pico Riviera, California. Thank you very much for being there. And the Stream Beam is in Dallas, Texas. That's the we've actually had Kirk, I believe, online. I've met with Kirk, and now that's his new channel, Stream Beam on YouTube. So thank you very much for being there. Mike Sabatini is in frigid LaSalle, Illinois. We're looking for snow here in Texas tomorrow. It'll be very interesting. Noel, Happy New Year, need to go, but watching later. Thank you very much for being here. Look forward to entertaining you later. Mike Sabatini says, migrating from YOLO Box Ultra to OBSBot Talent for my live sports streaming. Hey, Mike, I did post up a link. Let's go back to those. Hey, Mike, let's talk about it. I'd be interested in your thoughts, and hopefully your feed is less jumpy than mine. But a second device, you know, where's my hand? Where's my hand? There it is. Let's join the show and let's see if we can have a discussion together about it. Really was hoping on having, was looking forward to this show for weeks, and now all of a sudden this is what's going on. It's just not updating. Crazy. At least it's not updating for me. StreamBeam says, yes, it's me. And StreamBeam himself asks, Mike Sabatini, why did you migrate from the Ultra? So let's get some guests on here, because this is, you know, I want to talk about things that I'm forward to in 2025. And I want to see what you are looking forward to seeing in 2025. And just to see if I can get rid of this, I'm going to take myself out of the program for a second and then come back in. So I will be right back. Alrighty. It says I've got audio going out. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3. It says I've got audio going out. Well, now I can hear myself on the computer, so hang on a second. When in doubt, just keep pressing on. All right. Well, this is not really going to improve, but we'll press on with today's show. Sounds good to me. Actually, it sounded good when I heard it on the other machine, but I don't know why the feed today into Restream is just janky as all get out. Again, feel free to join the show. Today, I have an interesting thing to talk about. Mike said that he is moving from, I'm going to put this in the corner so I could have more of the, put that up there, move that. He said he's moving to the Talent, the OBSBot Talent. And this is the OBSBot Talent in the PK1 cage that, disclosure, they sent this to me and made it in the StreamTek colors. This was pretty cool, just to demonstrate that they've got it's a combination table stand and cage for your OBSBot Talent or Director Mini, which is really cool. And I worked with them on this to make sure that you're able to put in a battery on the back here. So they had to move these legs over a little bit. And then I added little grippies on the bottom. But it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mounting points for wireless receivers, other things, which is really cool. And then depending upon how you mount your Director Mini or OBSBot, the quarter 20 would be on the bottom. I like to have my ports on top and have the wires going away from me. So that's why the bottom of mine does not have that. So maybe they could get around to, I don't know, maybe that's where the Wi-Fi antennas are. I don't see anybody who has, it's over here, who has used the link. Let me try that. Let me see if that's actually working. Has anybody tried that link? Boo, 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 boo. There we go. And see if I show up in my own show. That would be kind of interesting. But feel free to join me in today's show, and we can have someone scan the QR code. That's actually pretty cool. It lets me know it was scanned. It's not showing me a camera yet. Oh, there we go. Yep. That's working. And I can even bring up my guest. You can see the desk here. And the different devices we'll be talking about. So the QR code is working. You sure to leave? Yes. And feel free to join the show and we can have a conversation. Definitely want to hear about the move from the Ultra. This is the Ultra, for those who don't know, the YOLO Box Ultra, to the Talent, which is a distinctly smaller machine. You know what I mean? Let me clear the background so it's less distracting. So here's the Ultra and here's the Talent. It's a much smaller screen. This has got 4 physical HDMIs and this has got only 2, wrong end. This has only got 2 HDMIs, you can see right here, 2 HDMIs versus 4 HDMIs. So there's some definite differences in those 2 solutions. And I would love for you to come on, join the show, and let's talk about what made you choose that as a transition. Deval Video says, Happy New Year from Arlington, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. Thank you for being there. And I look forward to more people joining the show. Migrating. Come on, Mike, chime on in, get in here so we can talk about what you're looking forward to doing this. Hey, look, it seems to have smoothed itself out. What you're looking forward to doing this 2025 with the change in sports streaming. The show's open to anyone. It's an open chat today or question and answers. Scan the channel. I'll be able to see when you pop up. And apparently it also lets me know when the QR code was scanned too, which is pretty cool. But one thing I know a lot of people are excited about is, I want to join from my Mac. How do I do that? You know what I can do? I can take, let me create a new title. Paste. Get my keyboard. Yeah, we're doing this live. This is live TV, not Memorex, not AI. If it was AI, it would have been figured out better. Add. Where did that go? There it is. There we go. So that is the code that the QR code here is basically embedding this into a picture that you can scan with your cell phone or whatever. But if you just take this and type this in, studio.restream.io/EJC-AACW-JTL, you will appear on the side of my screen here, and then I can bring you in and I can take you out. And we can have a conversation about what you are looking forward to with 2025. I know last year, YOLO Box came out with the Ultra, and everyone was very, very, very excited about the Ultra. And the Ultra, I think, was kind of released before it was fully done. And over the course of 2024, YOLO Live has spent considerable energies getting the Ultra more and more up to speed. And I think at the end of 2024, they kind of got to a point where people were really starting to rely on the Ultra to do their productions. And, you know, people were talking about the different types of shows that they were producing on the Ultra, and the comments in the YOLO Live forum were less about things failing and more about what they were able to do and what features they wanted to see. And that shift in the comments really, I think, said more volumes than, you know, a press release, in that it had gotten to the point where people were able to do the work as opposed to being hitting roadblocks. And so I think 2025 is going to be an exciting time for YOLO Box, with the Ultra kind of coming into its own and really being honed out and, you know, finished, especially in terms of being able to do both vertical and horizontal streaming in one device with 4 physical HDMI inputs. Plus, technically, it's also the only device out there right now that does 4K, which means you can take in a 4K camera and then have multiple shots from that 4K camera. So you can have, you know, if you had a wide shot in 4K and then 2 people on either side, you can window a 1080 window of just this side, of just that side, and then you've got the whole thing, and record and stream in 1080. But because you're producing in 4K and you're ingesting in 4K, that gives you the ability to have those multiple windows as separate shots in the YOLO Box, which I think is very, very impressive. And then also, the other really nice thing with YOLO's solution is their direct integration of their YOLO deck, which is a USB StreamTek kind of solution. Obviously not the same hardware, obviously not the same OEM, different devices for different solutions. The YOLO deck plugs directly into the YOLO Box and does not require a computer, does not require a network, does not require anything else. And you can assign many functions, not all, many functions to physical keys, so that without even looking, you can switch between camera 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can run your finger across it to feel things without changing things, which you can't do with the touchscreen. You have to look at the touchscreen to make sure that you're doing things. You know, so if you're someone like me that runs your own show, a control surface that you can touch without looking at it is important. I produce on the Director Mini, and I have a Bluetooth keyboard, which I've added some of my own labels to, and I've held this up many times. I have a video on the YouTube channel about making this work. And this way I can be like, you know, oh, you know what? I want the 2-shot. I don't even know what the 2-shot is. Let's go to my overhead. That's not a good shot. Let me move something in the way here. So yeah, here we go. And then, so I can go to 2, and I can go back to 1, and I can go back to 2. And it's just, I can feel the buttons, and without looking at them, I can switch between the 2 things and always be focused on that. That's where a control surface really comes into play, and I think it really does help a lot. I do have a guest, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on participants' names so that when I bring him on, let me take this out and bring on Mr. Mike, who is going to be telling us about his purchase. Thank you very much for being here.
Hi, Anthony. Good to be here.
So that's a big jump. I guess, did you make this at the end of the year? So this is a New Year's resolution to use the new platform?
I bought the talent in early December because I knew I had a bunch of basketball games coming up all the way to March. And I just got really frustrated with all the glitchy little things that seem to happen on every update. of the YOLO box. I mean, I really liked my YOLO box. I used it extensively for a whole year, mostly without problems. But it seems like every time they do an update, they break something else. And then when they started talking about the Extreme, I just kind of threw my hands up and I'm like, you've got a half-baked product here now, and now we're going to get a bigger one, that they didn't change the interface. It's just like a big, giant Ultra. I'm never going to use 8 HDMI ports. I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. And they've all been very nice. I mean, I speak with Frank from time to time, and Josh Gately and a few of the other people, and they're all very nice, and they want to be helpful. And then they wanted me to do a kind of like a synopsis of my business to promote it. And in good conscience, I couldn't do it, because I wasn't real happy with the direction they seemed to be going. And so I've been intrigued by the Magewell Director. Then the OBSBot version came out. I used the OBSBot cameras, and I thought, this seemed like a good move right now. So
yeah, and especially and you've seen my shows, you've watched other shows, and I always say, people ask me, what's the difference between the two? And one of the key things is, if you're already in the OBSBot ecosystem, I think the Talent really has advantages in that OBSBot has already, and will probably do more, direct integration to their cameras. They're basically going to do an Apple. It's like, well, we make the cameras, and we've got this Talent, and since we can configure the software to do things, like telling all the cameras to record internally, without having to go to each camera, and tell each one to start recording, and turn tracking on and off. Those are things that are not in the eye, but they can do because they've got both ends of the hardware there.
And I wanted to, have PTZ control, and it's so quirky with the YOLO box, and it just worked. I mean, I plugged the cameras into the Talent, and it was like, boom, and I use it on NDI. Wired and wireless, and it's like, bam, flawless, and I really like the interface of the Talent better. I like to be able to create the scenes. I don't do anything too god awful fancy, during the game, but I do have, sponsor bugs, and stuff, which it's kind of easy to do. One thing I do wish that the Talent could do was use motion GIFs, so I can have a sponsor bug be one logo and then flip over to the other one and then back to the first one, and it doesn't, so I have to put those sponsor bugs on either corner of the top part of the screen. But no biggie. The scoreboards are better. The instant replay is better. There's just a lot of things to love about the Talent.
Yeah, and people ask me, because I have the show, and they're always asking me, which one's better? And I'm like, they have different advantages. Like, if you needed 4 physical HDMI inputs, if you needed to have a remote guest, there's no remote guest facility in the OBSBot or the Director Mini at all. Right. If you needed someone to remotely control your graphics, I mean, YOLObox gives you that online platform and it's included, so that you can build your own custom scoreboards. You can have somebody remotely, administer them and things like that. And the Director Mini doesn't have that. I mean, you can control what's in the Director Mini, but if you wanted to build something custom and hand that off to somebody else, who's even watching at home, and just, okay, up 5, okay, whatever. There's definite advantages, key features, one way or the other. So you're doing all your cameras via NDI then?
No, I have a main camera that is handheld. It's a Sony. I have another camera that's HDMI, and then I have another smaller camera that aims at the scoreboard at basketball games. And then I bring that in HDMI, and that goes into the lower left corner. And then the other 2 cameras are NDI. Those are the tail airs.
And you mentioned presets. So do you swing them around and move them around a lot, or what type of presets do you use?
Well, when I only had one tail air for football, I had left side of the field, center part of the field, right side of the field. for kind of a broad shot. So I could use that as a cutaway until I got my zoomed in, shot that I wanted. And then I could just easily go back and forth from that. And that worked really well, but now I can do that with two tail airs for basketball, left, center, and right, same sort of deal. And then I use my Sony to get, like when somebody's going to do a free throw or something, I get a closer shot of that. Basketball is too much motion to get too tight. You know what I mean? So
it's fast.
It's quick. Somebody can get a rebound and throw it the length of the floor, and but I can press a button now and get there, instantly.
Yes. And so you haven't found any what restrictions have you found going from like you mentioned, one of them already. What other challenges have you faced going from the YOLO box to the Talent? I mean, for me, one of them was I liked the overlay, the fact that I could attach music to an overlay or to the countdown timer, and then when the timer was done, the music was done.
Right. But
with the Director Mini, you attach music to a scene, not the overlay. So right. It's like now I have to have more scenes. It's just different ways of doing things. You talked about liking the operation of the Talent better.
Yeah, and I love the audio mixer better on the Talent because it's a real audio mixer, set up vertically. It's true stereo, and you can see the left and right levels. The YOLO box says that it's a stereo input, but both meters, they go this way. Both meters move exactly the same way. So it's hard to tell if that's really stereo, by looking at it. Right. And on the Talent, you can see them bouncing, individually if you have a true stereo input going in.
And I've bugged YOLO for years because they've previously only had a single meter, and I was like, well, we have no way of telling because if I'm doing my own show and I'm in front of the camera, I'm not listening to it. But it makes it very difficult to visibly see if a source is coming in only on the left channel. Right. Even though technically I don't think either of them have the ability to mono a channel. Right. Yeah, there's no pan, so that if you've got a wireless mic and it's only coming in on left, in the mixer on both of these, there's no button you can push that just says summit the mono.
That right.
That would be really handy.
It is. I miss the built-in bonding on the YOLO box. Because I had a crappy internet connection at last night's game, for example. And the other thing I miss on the Talent is being able to do a network test where you can see what your, unless I haven't found that feature yet, but on the YOLO box, you could do a network test and then show you what your, upload speed was. Is there such a thing on the Talent that I don't know about?
I haven't delved into it because the Talent, I know the Director uses Speedify for bonding, and because it's running as a separate app in the operating system of the tablet, it's not integrated into the television production app that we're using. Whereas on the YOLO box, they've integrated it directly into, like it's all fully integrated. Even if it's happening in the OS, it's still like, doing the speed test, showing you, what things are connected and things like that. That's more integrated and visible in the YOLO box.
And does the Talent have that same integration?
That's a good question.
I seem to find a straight answer on that anywhere I've looked.
Well, while we're talking, I'm just going to fire this baby up and check. Well, I don't have a Speedify account, but have you tried using the Speedify on the Talent?
Not yet. I've had too many games in a row, and I'm afraid to do anything different right now until I get really I just press this, and stuff. When I use gear, I expect it to work. You know what I mean? And so does the radio station that I partner with. And
right.
We don't have time to I don't. What did I do? And then now we got a problem. I don't like that. I like to just. If it says it can do this, I should press that, and it does it. And so far, everything I've tried on the Director does just that. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Director.
Yeah, it's because they're essentially the same hardware and the same core operating system. For those who don't know, Magewell makes the hardware that is the OBSBot talent, and there's no secret about it. I've seen people like, oh, did you know? Yeah, it says it right on the box.
You boot it up, it says
powered by Magewell. So yes, it's not a secret, but it enables OBSBot to take a product that is fairly well proven and then build the hooks that they want to build on top of that. So that is something that I find very useful. And as people who have watched this channel for a while know, I used to produce on the YOLOBox Pro, and then I moved to the Director Mini because as people who have used YOLOBox for a while know, there's no 50p. There's some frame doubling on some units, and I just wanted, like you said, if you say you do full motion, I want to see full motion. I want to see every frame is different.
Right, and there's been a problem with recorded video on the YOLOBox that they claim has been addressed. It has not been addressed, at least on mine. When you go to get your recorded clips off and you put them in your editor, there's a few frame gap in the audio where the scenes touch, where you put one scene after the next. In the audio, there's a few frames dropped, and I've had it called out. One of my clients has called me out on it twice. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. It's not supposed to be there. There's no glitch on the video.
Right.
The audio has that, and I can't do that. I can't.
So I'm looking at the network control panel right now. It's connected to my Wi-Fi. I can actually just go to this. On my network, you can see cellular is not connected. I've got my Frisco Studios and I've got my Ethernet connected, and there's no bonding option in this. So I think that might be one of the other differentiators in between the Director Mini and the Talent, is that the bonding is not available in the Talent. Maybe it will be in an update, but right now I don't see a bonding option here. And there's no separate bonding option listed in the settings at all. So I think that is another one of the differentiators, because obviously Magewell needs to also differentiate their product and say, well, if you're going to be building cool things into yours, we want to build cool things into ours. And so it's like, if you want full NDI, well, that's going to be in the Director Mini. If you want NDI with an alpha channel for overlays, that's in the Director Mini. If you want to use the app on a cell phone as a camera, a local area network camera, that's on the Director Mini. So, so there's certain things that are held to the Director Mini that are exclusive features there. And then, of course, like I said, if you have OBSBot cameras, there's going to be exclusive features that aren't going to be on the Director Mini, but are on the OBSBot. So being able to turn facial recognition on and off and tracking and things like that. So for those people who have a little podcast studio and they've got the OBSBot cameras, and people lean back in their chair, or they lean on one side, and you want to I don't want to have to keep following them, just do it. Being able to turn that on is a great reason to pick the Talent.
And one thing about using the PTZ feature in the Talent is the way they did it. It's like transparent. Like the keys are all there and the buttons are all there, but it's transparent. You can see what's behind it.
Right.
And the YOLOBox version of that, it just didn't work that way. And it's awfully nice when you can still see what you're doing and just get to nudge it over a little bit or whatever, but you can still see what you're doing while you're doing it. That's a big deal to me. Well,
and similarly, we can you can bounce back and forth. Similarly, adjusting the audio mixer on the Talent takes over the whole screen, whereas adjusting the audio mixer on the Ultra, because the screen is larger, it's off to the side and you can still see your sources in your program. So, that's one of the things I was working with Magewell, and in the video, I was like, well, look at this. It's really handy to put the audio mixer on a separate device, which you can do on the Talent, I believe, as well. You can put it on a cell phone and have it next to the Talent, so that you're not taking over the screen and you can always see the shots.
Right. One other thing that on the YOLO box that I asked several times for, and they said, oh, yes, in a future update. Now, when you're shooting football, for example, you need to see the field. And, so you have the small little icons, that represent your cameras. But the word HDMI takes up over a third of it from the bottom in kind of like a dark, sort of transparent area. You can't see what's under there. And
Right.
everybody else from Cinetreek to, these guys and everything, they either put it below the icon, or in the case of the Talent, it's just white and it just sits right above, but you can still see the entire little screen that you're looking at.
Right.
You're going to change a camera, what am I looking at? I can't see over a third of it from the bottom.
Right.
Not acceptable for football, at least.
Especially when your thumbnails are so small and everything.
Right.
It's like every millimeter of height is important to be able to assess that image before you cut to it.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned the Extreme. I think a lot of people are excited to see the Extreme. And I know it's overkill for a lot of people, but one of the things that they've done is they've made use of the larger screen. So now you've got a preview in a program, which none of the other YOLO boxes have. And I think that's going to really appeal to a certain market that is used to being able to, like you said, I want to see what it is before I cut to it. I want to be able to check it, and being able to call up your preview. Okay, yeah,
Right.
I think that's going to be something that people look forward to. Now, the Extreme is not released yet. The Extreme is still in beta. They are still working on the software, but obviously the hardware is kind of taken to an extreme. And I think they've got a good idea here. I mean, if you could take, the YOLO Box Pro and have more than 4 physical inputs, I think there's a lot of people who would love that, because it's like, well, listen, I have a pre-show video I want to play from this. I have 2 PowerPoints that I need to capture and a couple cameras, and just be able to go dunk, 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 and not have to worry about it, I think is going to appeal to a lot of people, even if the show is not that complex. I don't think it's about the complexity of a show, because, with all the customization and the talent, you can get really, really complex with the talent and with the Director Mini. 3 moving overlays over a background, and just scene after scene after scene after scene. You're gonna need one of these to be able to switch between all your inputs. You can definitely make any show as complex as you want, but it's physically connecting all of those connectors into the Talent or the Director Mini becomes a bit of a challenge, because there aren't that many physical connections on them.
Right, but I don't, personally speaking for me, I don't do that type of production. And if I did, I'm not saying that I hate YOLO Box. I don't at all. I think, and I think this new device they have coming out, if it works, I think it will satisfy a lot of issues for a lot of people. I really do, because it can be rock solid as long as, they keep up with it and don't break stuff when they do updates.
Well, to an extent, I don't think it's necessarily limited to YOLO Box, because wasn't there just a Windows update that bricked a whole bunch of systems? So it's not just a YOLO Box problem. It's an IT problem. It's all kinds of problem. But yes, if you need to use something for production, it's sort of like, don't break this while fixing that, because it's like trying to own a home. It's like, oh, I went to fix the pipe, but then I broke the cabinet door.
Absolutely.
So so you're happy with the Talent, and do you have plans to integrate StreamTek with it?
I would love to.
I wonder if that's one of the things that is Director Mini. Because there's a Director Mini plugins for companions so that you can just make those calls directly. You still need a computer in between, but being able to like hand somebody like scoreboard, you know, if you wanted to use the built-in scoreboard, up, up, down, down, up, you know, being able to use that it would be really handy. But again, you can do the same with Bluetooth.
Right. While we're on the subject of handing a device off to somebody, so, you know, like when you first go to use an external device with your talent, you log in with admin. Yeah, well, one day when I was in a hurry, it asked me to change the password, which I did, and I was stupid and didn't write it down, and now I can't find a way to reset that. Do I have to do a factory reset?
I think you're going to need to, yeah. Because, and I'm guilty of that too with like wireless routers and all kinds of things. And I don't have it on here, but I have plenty of devices that once I've logged into them, I literally take a brother labeler and I print out the username and password and I put it like on the device. So now that I go to show you one, I can't show you one, but that's something that I do really regularly. It's like, oh crap, and there was something else that I had to log into, and it forced me to no, that password that you were using, which now you want to use it again, is no longer acceptable because they've raised the bar. And it's like, now you need an alphanumeric and a character and an upper and a lower. I'm like, you know, I just used a phrase before and it was all just normal letters. And it's like, no, you can't use it anymore. But I'm used to using the phrase.
Yeah. So I guess,
Mike,
the break between games here, where they've got more than 2 or 3 days in between, I'll do the factory reset and start over.
Yeah.
Know, write that down.
But what you can do is, I believe on here, you can still, let me go back out to my shows. Let's see. Go here. I believe you can still, on the talent show list, you can take a show and export it. So you can export your finished shows to an SD card.
Oh.
You can nuke, you know, the whole device, but then you can reload, you can import at the top here, you can import your show again. So, because when you do a factory reset, you're going to lose your shows.
Right.
But this is a way you can export them to SD card and then keep them. So I've got my StreamTek show right here, my StreamTek HD60 at 60 frames per second. This was imported from a Director Mini. So I export it from the Director Mini, and now I have it here. So if I click on this, there's the show with all my different scenes and everything, and here's the different graphics. So
I love that is interface, being able to do that, you know, just to create the shows like that, and just go, you know, plug your cameras in on the next show, and if it's the same type of show, boom, that's fantastic.
Yes, that is really handy. Well, Mike, thank you for jumping in here on our first show of 2025. I was like really looking forward to like having all kinds of people talk about what they're looking for, what they're excited about. And I thought your story was really interesting. Moving from one of these all-in-one solutions to the other one, it's a big jump. And there's you know, reasons behind it, and there's always caveats to getting there on the other side. So thank you very much for jumping in here and being part of the show. And I will look forward to hearing in a couple months how it's been working out for you.
I'll do that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
Take care.
All righty. So again, my name's Anthony. I'm here at StreamTek, and I am looking for my QR codes. This is the 2025 show. I wanted to hear from you guys what you're looking forward to seeing, what your favorite tool of 2024 was. If you're still using it, it's something that's been super duper reliable. Feel free to scan the code. Or I also have, if you are, I think I did it in captions. Yes. If you want to just type it in on a computer, you can do it right here and join the show with us. Where's the plug-in power on this thing? I think that's the one on the end. I'm going to try to power up this Extreme and see if we can get this thing up and running. If you have streaming questions, feel free to throw them in the chats. I think one of the things I'm excited about, especially in the all-in-one solution, is that there's multiple players in that space now. There's Magewell with the Director Mini. OBSBot is tweaking that for their hardware. YOLO Live has the Mini, the Pro, the Ultra, and they've been talking about the Extreme for a couple months now. It's not released. They're still working on the hardware, and I hope that they have decided that, you know what? It took us a while to get the Ultra to where people were happy with it. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to really make sure the Extreme is ready to ship before we ship it, so that when people get it, they're able to really utilize it as soon as it comes out. And the YOLO deck, they've talked about making the YOLO deck, which is their bespoke USB control surface. They've talked about making this work on the Pro and other devices. I think that is going to be fantastic as well, especially on the Mini, which is a very, very tiny device. And if you need to adjust audio or bring up graphics or do things like that, you only have the little tiny 5-inch display, and bringing up any of the controllers covers that display. Like Mike was talking about, it covers the display, and it makes it harder to see. You can't be switching cameras at the same time as you're doing titles. Whereas if you can put your different sources on a control surface and you can put your different titles on a control surface, you don't have to cover up your main screen at all to switch between your cameras. I mean, there's no preview, but if you know what you're going to be switching to, and it's a talk show, or in the case of sports, you've got your wide and your close, you can pretty much reliably cut between those two different things and move them. Mike also mentioned, he forgot to mention, the ease of centering and sizing graphics on the Talent is awesome. The Ultra has added some, framing assistance, but yes, the framing assistance has been available on the Magewell Director Mini and the Talent from the beginning. So little guidelines like, pop up when you're centered and pop up when you're centered vertically. That makes things very, very easy to work with. Again, this is an open show. I'm inviting any of the viewers who want to be on to join us on the show. Let's talk about gear from 2024 and what you're looking for in 2025. What are your thoughts on the CineStream with integrated joystick for PTZ? Hi from Mariatus. I think that for people who need to follow things, like PTZs with integrated controllers, those are really cool in terms of being able to grab a joystick and follow something live. Those are really handy for that. That said, I've worked with PTZ cameras for a long time. Like Bird Dog just came out with their X series in 2024, and these are very exciting. Two things. One, in classroom, education, corporate type of situations, a lot of cameras are now being built with tracking in them already. So the need for someone to baby that joystick back and forth to follow someone at the front of this, in front of the camera to follow them, that's becoming less needed because the camera's doing it automatically. Second thing is, if you need to preset positions, especially if you're using NDI, a lot of these devices handle NDI, and you can go into the camera and you can preset, if you're setting up an hour before the show, here's my audience 1, here's my audience 2, here's a wide shot of the stage, here's chair 1, chair 2, chair 3. Now I've got all these presets, and I can put them on buttons. Or on the Stream Deck, I can put them on buttons, or I can put them on buttons. And then that way, that's done. And so the need for the joystick during the show is less valuable. So I have done shows. I have operated like professional cameras setups where I have been tracking people walking around the stage live, but those were professional Sony broadcast cameras, PTZ cameras, and a professional Sony PTZ controller. So the ability of that joystick to have like a slow move, a slightly faster move, an even faster move, and get your butt over there type of moves for when I'm live, and when they cut to a wide shot, get over there fast. Okay, now I'm there. That is pretty important in terms of the usability of a joystick system for live tracking. And then we've got the built-in auto tracking, and we've got the ability to do presets. So while the integrated joystick seems really useful, I find that a lot of times now presets are good enough. Especially in terms of, I want to cut to a wide shot, I want to cut to just the moderator, just the panel, 2 shot of the left, 2 shot on the right, and then swing it around, look at the audience 1, audience 2, audience 3, or maybe there's a microphone down in the center of the audience. So this one camera can be doing all these different things, but they're all presets. So you cut to a wide shot, zoop, that camera spins around, now you cut to that. And then cut back to the wide shot, zoop, it spins around. A joystick is handy, but I don't think it's something on there that you're going to be using consistently throughout a show, because once you get to presets, it's going to be that's where things are going to go. But thank you for the question. Thank you very much. I did see a couple people have scanned the code, but I haven't seen anybody else appear in my list. So if you're looking to join the show, let me hide this. If you're looking to join the show, you can either point your phone at join the show, or you can type in this code down the bottom. Now, there's a bunch of, CES is out. CES is happening right now, the Consumer Electronics Show in the United States. There's a lot of things going on. There's not a lot of broadcast releases during CES, but, there's things that happen in the space, like Disney and Fubu, merged, sort of. And, so in terms of like distributing content, there's some news that's happening there. But in terms of production gear, the next pretty big show is NAB. And NAB is going to be where a lot of stuff comes out, maybe just before NAB. I know Blackmagic likes to announce everything a week before, so that when you get to NAB, it's already on your list of like, oh, I want to see this, and I want to see this, and I want to see this. And, they'll have demos and promos there. But NAB is definitely the large one in the spring. I think it's April. And I was there last year, produced a lot of content for the StreamTek channel at NAB. And it's going to be an exciting one this year as well. I think a lot of people are going to get a chance to look at this Ultra. Let's see if I can turn it on. I've had it plugged in for a few minutes. Apparently not with enough power. With great power becomes great responsibility. And Debug says, oh, you're live. Yes, we are live. I'm not Memorex. I'm not AI. This is a live show where you are here. I am here. We're both here together. And we're talking about what do we expect 2025 to bring to the production space. Hey, we can even talk vertical production. I did a vertical show the other couple weeks back. YOLO Live has had the in-stream out for quite some time. Just had a teeny little update recently. And the in-stream is definitely due for an update. The Ultra, the tablet, also does vertical streaming. So I can tap this button and now it's ready for vertical streaming. And both the OBSBot Talent and the Magewell Director Mini both do vertical streaming as well. So you've got 4 devices with vertical interfaces ready for vertical streaming. So if you do live content for vertical, you've got a good set of choices already. The Extreme, of course, will probably do vertical content as well. But again, the Extreme is not out yet, so we can't necessarily count on when it will be out and what will happen. One thing I speculate, and I speculated this to their faces when Magewell came out with the Director Mini. It says, oh, you've got a Director Mini. Why do you have the word mini at the end? Is there going to be a Director Maxi? I don't know, a bigger one. And, they said, well, it's never knowing what's going to happen in the future. But, the Director Mini, and do I have one here? The Director Mini and the YOLO Box Mini are very similar. You can see that the screens are slightly different sizes. The screen on the YOLO Box is actually smaller than the screen on the Magewell, but the Magewell is thicker, and if you want to include batteries, the YOLO Box is definitely going to win out there because it's got an internal battery, where this one you have to add batteries to the back of it, and it gets a lot bigger. But as I said, operating on this tiny 5-inch screen is a challenge, which is why I hope the YOLO deck, operability comes soon. And as he said, the operating system on the Magewell, they've done a really good job making it so you can do so much on this little 5-inch screen. Yes, the audio covers over your video screen, but switching between graphics and doing the telestrator and building your graphics and designing your shots and everything all on this teeny little screen. They did a really good job, an amazing job with the interface on the Magewell Director Mini that is carried over to the Talent. Now, is that to say that it wouldn't be nice to have more physical inputs? Wouldn't it be nice to have, one thing that always gets me is your output is a USB-C. And having an output that's a USB-C, I have to get these little dongles, and I have a bunch of them now, these little dongles to go from USB-C to HDMI so that I could run it into this. I mean, you're actually looking at the output of my Director Mini going through a dongle just like this to get the HDMI out. It would be nice to have a physical HDMI out of it. And the other thing that the YOLO Box wins at is that there is a SIM card built in. So you can do Wi-Fi, physical Ethernet, and cellular tri-source bonding in this tiny little package. There is no cellular in the Director Mini. Now, if they came out with a Maxi, whatever it might be, if they came out with a larger model, since they called the first one Mini, first thing I asked them was, when's the Maxi coming out? If they came out with a larger model, that would give them more physical real estate to put in a full-size HDMI, maybe more HDMI inputs, maybe a cellular, or more. We just want more. I think that would, and the interface, as we said, is really good. I don't think they need to change the interface. I think the interface is really good. But if they did, because the screen would be bigger, they could maybe do a side-by-side or something like that. LA12 livestream says, I use the Ultra, Director Mini, and vMix. Would love vMix in a tablet form with HDMI inputs and DI audio mixer. You want the world, don't you? Actually, when I do shows on Vertical, about Vertical, and you can go back to the Vertical shows on this YouTube channel, I run vMix on a tablet. I run vMix on a Surface Go. A Surface Go with a mobile processor, not even an i3. And what I use it for is I take vMix to take the vertical input that's coming out as HDMI, and then I bring it in, I rotate it, I put it over here to the side, I put a background behind it, and then I feed that output over to this show so that I can then say, and as you can see over here and over here and over here, and I can point to it. So yeah, you can run vMix in a tablet. But as you note, there's no HDMI inputs. And that was one of the things that YOLO really pioneered, was a tablet with built-in battery and everything that touchscreen and everything that a tablet is, a tablet with physical HDMI inputs and outputs. That's really what they pioneered by putting it all in one device. vMix in a tablet form with HDMI inputs and outputs. I'm kind of torn only because vMix is not a touch screen program. You're still going to need a keyboard and a mouse, and if you've got a screen, a keyboard, and a mouse, that's a laptop. Bring a laptop. So that's my thought on that. Is it running DisplayPort? Why not just run Mini DisplayPort if nothing else? The output right here, this is why I love this little Sony camera that I'm using. The out right here is USB-C, and yes, it is DisplayPort, which is the same as HDMI. It'd be converted natively between DisplayPort and HDMI. It is technically DisplayPort, and it can also be used for USB-C for a hub and other things. So it's not just a DisplayPort out, it's multiple things. So I'm using it for video out. So when I plug this cable in, I'm not really getting all the functionality that is available on the port. If I used a different converter that had a USB plug and HDMI and, I don't know, another USB or something like that, I could do more. You know, I could plug in a media stick or a USB modem and still have that. So it's a hub interface, not just a DisplayPort interface. You should be able to use USB HDMI capture on a tablet, if nothing else. Depends on the tablet. It really depends upon the tablet, because I've talked about many times that I like to use Amazon Fire tablets, because they're so low cost and they're pretty darn rugged, and the 8-inch tablet that I use regularly is dedicated just to doing, you know, running OBSBot apps or Mevo apps or things like that. But the USB-C is basically power only. There's no video out, there's no video in, there's none of that. You know, Amazon has not put that circuitry in there at all. And so on a tablet, it depends on the tablet. If you are using the latest iPad Pro and you are using a software tool called Top Director, Top Director will actually recognize 4 UVC sources. Could be USB cameras, could be converters, but 4 camera inputs hardwired into a new iPad Pro with USB-C. Now, obviously, you're going to want a powerful iPad Pro to be able to handle all of that input in video mixing and stuff like that. So that is something that is kind of already out there, but all of these apps, there are video switching apps for iOS as well. These are Android tablets that I have in front of me. I have done shows about the iOS solutions. I did one. There's a show about the free app called TeraDeck AirMix, and that is right here. Laptop side by side. So TeraDeck AirMix is free. It runs on iPad. It has not been supported for almost 5 years now, and it has been released. It has been sort of let go, but they've turned off all the purchase upgrades and things like that, made it all inclusive, but there's no support, there's no anything, but it's free. So if you want to try something out on an iPad just to see if the iPad solution might be something for you, you could try this out. This is a group I created on Facebook just for AirMix so that people can talk about it and figure out solutions, because again, TeraDeck released it. They didn't just kill it. They just turned off all the purchase upgrade options, or made them all free. I'll say it that way. They made them all free and then re-released the app and said, we're done. And so that is out there. And anybody, if you want to try out iPad mixing and stuff like that, you can try this out. Again, this app has been out for many years. So if you have an old tablet from 5 years ago, it'll probably work great, because that's when this app was live. And it was, you know, there was no M1 chip, there was no M2 chip, there was none of that. when this app was out. So it may actually run better on older tablets than it will run on newer tablets, because I don't know if it understands the new processor. Although Apple's been really good about their in-device translations between processors. Al asks, will you be at NAB this year? I do not think so. I was at NAB last year. I did a series of 20 videos on the StreamTek channel. So if you scroll down on our video list, you'll see all these different videos. It's loading. And then when we get to the NAB content, you can see all the NAB content is right here. So I was at NAB, did all these videos, and try to bring people interesting. And if you come down, here's Top Director right here, if you want to see what Top Director looks like. So I did a video at the Top Director booth, talked to the author of the Top Director, and there's also the SproLink solutions, which I have not been able to get my hands on, despite talking to them at the booth. So there's a lot of things going on. There's RGB Link. It was interesting that Rode is, I think, a great innovator. Rode makes some fantastic products. I got to talk with them about various things at NAB, but it was interesting that they didn't mention that they were coming out with a video mixer. And when they did come out with a video mixer, I wasn't on the press list, so I haven't been able to get my hands on it. I know people have been asking, but I cannot go out and buy every product. I rely on the companies to provide one for review, for testing, and things like that. And when I can get one, I will definitely be doing a video on it, because I think the Rodecaster Video does a fantastic job focusing on scenes, because, as we talked about with Mike, the ability to put together scenes rather than just flat shots. The ability to put together scenes, I think, really does elevate a production. And the Rodecaster has a bottom row of video inputs and a top row of scenes. So they really are focused on giving you fast, direct access to scenes that you build. And I think that is a fantastic way to build a video mixer these days, as opposed to traditional video mixers, which is just, here's all your inputs. If you want to build something, you didn't have to do MEs and all this stuff. I think, no. I think that's we've moved past that anymore. And we're now at a time where I want to pre-build how everything looks, and I just want to cut to it. Just like this scene right here. Me to the side with that and the StreamTek down at the bottom. I think we are at a point where I want to cut to this scene, and then I want to push a button just like this and cut back to me. I want to be able to move between the two seamlessly. LA12 Livestreams asks, is there a device you know of that will take an HDMI input and send out an SRT stream in H.265, but allow replacement of the incoming HDMI audio feed from a 3.5mm mic source? There's actually several. KiloView would be the first thing that pops into my mind. KiloView makes fantastic little encoders. There's any number of little encoders, and they will have a mic line input jack. I feel like I just did one recently that has something like this, and they can be had inexpensively to expensively, depending upon whether you want to buy a no-name brand from AliExpress, and maybe it'll work, to something that has a brand name and a tech support number and that you can call up, or an email that you can get support on, trying to get the things figured out. As I said, KiloView makes several encoders, even multi-channel encoders that can even do overlays and things like that. And then you can go in there and you can have one feed coming in, be available as NDI and also as SRT, and take the, very powerful little devices. There are many out there. I mean, I can't name them off the top of my head, but I know that they are out there. Even devices from several years ago, KiloView had a P2 that was available in either HDMI or SDI, and the P2 could do that, and that was like 3-4 years ago. So yes, there are many devices out there that will do that. Thank you for the question. thus far, I have not seen anybody else who wants to join our New Year's show. One last call. Anybody wants to hop on and have a little chat on the New Year's show about technology, about what they expect in 2025, about the best gear that they found in 2024. Do you think the Extreme will be released at NAB? Do you? Put it in the comments. Do you think it'll be released at NAB? Do you think they're going to hold out and wait until it has reached proper baking temperature and then release it so that it's all ready to go? As Mike and I attested, we want our tools to be bulletproof. And I've said this in the YOLO Live forum too. Bulletproof is one of the best features a tool can have, because producers who have clients, especially, producers cannot suffer a device that is not delivering, or is delivering but with problems. We need to do our job to get the paycheck. And if a device is not meeting our needs, we will look for a device that does. And the most important feature is a device that is bulletproof. I'm not saying it has the best features, but whatever features it has, those things that are listed on the box, they have to be 100% perfect. They have to do that. You know, it's like saying, oh, I want a car that drives. Yes, it's going to drive. But if it always pulls to the right, that's not what you want. I want a car that does it, that does what it says it's going to do every day without fail, and, you know, is just reliable so that I can count on it. It needs to be bulletproof. Promo TV says, will there be a YOLO Box Mini? There already is. It's been out for like 7 years. This is the YOLO Box Mini. And this is the YOLO Box Ultra. It is very mini. And the Mini is about the same size as the Director Mini / Obsbot Talent. So it is tiny. It's a 5-inch screen, but it still has built-in battery and ready to go. I heard a little bloop in my ears, and I'm waiting to see a camera. Al says, I hope they wait till it's ready. Honestly, me too. Me too. I have a beta. I've been working with them on different things, and I'm doing my best to make sure that it does what it can do. And there are other people in the beta group that are just full on testing every feature, posting all kinds of, you know, things. And I will say YOLO has been very reactive. YOLO has been listening. YOLO has been issuing updates. YOLO is on it. So credit to YOLO. They've got a beta team. They've got people who are just banging the hell out of this machine. They got people that are just testing the living daylights out of this tablet. You know who you are. And I think they've learned from the Ultra, and I think they're not going to be taking this as fast, because there's no sense in putting out a product that disappoints. It's better to wait and have a product that pleases. My personal opinion. Oh, I saw another chat came in. I'm still waiting for a camera there. I heard another bloop. I've noticed that hardened devices with no bugs cost a lot due to all the R&D. Yes, probably. When the Magewell Director Mini came out, it had a premium price tag. It was not priced the same as a Pro, YOLO Box Pro. Considering there were only 2 devices, I can't say like everything else, because there was only one other thing to compare it to. And the price has since come down. Obsbot probably helped with that in providing more of a market and economies of scale as you make more of these devices, as the product gets out there and more people see it and buy it. I think that is the case, but at the same time, yes, it takes time for them to build a product and test it and test it and test it. And all of that costs money. So those things that have been really tested, which is why broadcast gear, which is you bulletproof and you count on it, which is why broadcast gear traditionally costs a crap ton of money. Let's see. LA12 says, best gear I found this year was the AIDA IPCOM PoE, been bulletproof. Fully agree with the extreme being held until it's 100% solid. And I there's my favorite word. There's my favorite word right there. Bulletproof. Make it bulletproof. And I'm actually my overhead camera is an AIDA. So when you see my overhead shots, like this one, that's an AIDA cam, and actually has been since the beginning. So you can go back 2-3 years, and every single one of my overhead shots is my AIDA camera, which is not autofocus. So I have to set it to the focus I'm going to get, but that's what those teeny little box cameras deliver. Mountain Media says, thank you for everything you do. Lose live stream, you helped us tremendously. But thank you very much. YOLO Box University Ultra user. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Mariana Media, you are the one in here? Daryl, I don't have a camera on you yet. Debug says, I'm poking at the studio interface. The browser's broken. It can't access cameras. I'm poking at the studio interface. You're probably looking at the studio interface. The browser's broken. It can't access cameras. That's why you don't have a camera. Will there be a new Mini? Probably not. And I think the Mini, the YOLO Box Mini, is a good purpose-built product. I think the YOLO Box Mini, for what it is, for how compact it is, it fits in a shirt pocket. Okay, I actually didn't expect it to fit in my shirt pocket, but it does. To have an entire studio in your shirt pocket, I think is really cool. Could they upgrade the chips? Yeah, they could come out with a Mini V2. Change nothing about it, but just put in the new Snapdragon, because this has been out for 7 years now. But the size, I would also make it so that the fan vents from the side, so you can put this down on the table. But the size, the capabilities, yes, it's only got one input, but one input HDMI, one input USB. And if you're doing, let's just say, soccer from a sideline, you got your HDMI camera coming in, and then you can put a webcam on top of that big camera. You can switch between those two cameras. You can do bonded streaming and have a microphone input and do commentary and have a sports scoreboard all in this box. So I don't think for a certain area, I think this is a fantastic product. I've also seen people use a Blackmagic design ATEM Mini for all of their switching and all of it, and then use something external, an external box for the streaming, bonded streaming. And this is a lot cheaper than a live view. So that's pretty cool. Mountain Media says, we've had a lot of success with the Ultra. It hasn't let us down during a stream yet. Yes, and that's why I say a lot of people have had success with the Ultra, and they have been able to make use of it and enjoy the capabilities without an issue. Not everybody. There have been people who have had problems. Mike Sabatini has left. There you are. Hey, let's bring on another guest. Hey, Miranda.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. Just browsing YouTube while I was in between work stuff and noticed you were streaming, which I've not actually seen you streaming before.
This is what I do on a weekly basis, and I'm using these all-in-one tools to do it. And I know Miranda, and Miranda has one heck of a nice, is it a Blackmagic based kit?
Yeah, I've got it's a full rolling rack dual table setup, like a DJ table. And it's got 4K switching, 4K ingestion, 1080 processing for the moment. It's going to be 4K shortly. And it's all based on the Blackmagic system.
So yeah, that's a big step up from an all-in-one device like this.
You'd say so, yeah. I'm also looking for things like integrating MIDI mixer with OBS, integrating MIDI mixer with vMix, and that way you get physical sliders,
Tactile controls.
that you can run everything. Because that's the big problem with software is you don't have that physical touch. If you need to slam a fader and move it, you're racing for the mouse on potentially a dozen screens trying to get to the fader you want to mute or bring up or whatever.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, tactile controls are definitely something that all of these little touch screens, need. And it, like you say, with audio, being able to, or even just like you have a dynamic captivating speaker, being able to like leave your finger on the slider, and as they get more excited, I bring it down, I bring it up, I don't have to look at it, I got my finger resting on it, and then he wants to shout out to the crowd, and then he's going to be really quiet and everything. And being able to just like ride the level on that speaker just makes the stream a whole lot more enjoyable, because people aren't blown out by distorted audio and then they can't hear anything.
And you don't have the issue of compression and gating, where it's all still there, but you've just flattened them out, and it doesn't sound as good.
Yeah, definitely. When people are, they keep bouncing, and then sometimes, depending upon how people have got the compression and gate set and everything, it actually sounds worse than just let it be loud or just let it be quiet.
Yep. And I've also had the touch interfaces where you try to do that with the touch interface, and the touch interface is like, oh, there's no more finger, and you go to move, and it's like, no, you can't do that. There's a lot to be gained from a physical a touch interface, just because you can put your finger on it, you can feel the divot and the slider, and it's just native and always available to you.
Absolutely. And as I've told people, it's like I have a little Bluetooth control surface for my all-in-one here, and just being able to feel the difference between my main camera, and here's my camera 2, and here's my main camera, and tap them like that. But being able to run my fingers across the surface without causing a whole bunch of stuff to happen, because it's not a touch screen.
Yeah, you get all kinds of drag and like accidental clicks, and you can open menus and any other number of annoyances with the touch interfaces.
Anyone who's ever pocket dialed someone knows exactly what we're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, it's
so
true.
Well, thank you for chiming in. I appreciate you jumping in on the show. And
Sure.
I'm actually been here. It's been an hour and a half almost. And I do thank everyone who's joined us for the show and who has decided to actually come on board. Thanks again to Mike for telling us all about his transition from a YOLO box to the OBSBot and the reasoning behind that, some of the caveats and things like that. Every choice has consequences. I mean, that sounds like a Marvel movie, but no, that's kind of the way things work, in that when we make a decision, we're part of that is saying no to certain things, and it's up to us to find the gear that works for our needs. What is the most important thing? What is the next absolute gotta have? Okay, it would be nice to have. This is kind of important, but I could work around it. And you go down the list and you solve these first, and then when you get to these, you learn to work around a couple things and make adjustments and make a solution that does what it needs to do for you. And again, as Mike and I said, being bulletproof is probably the number one thing that's most important. And as you can see by my jumpy video, Restream is not being bulletproof for me today. But it's the last stage in my little show here. But again, I thank you all for being here for today's show. My name is Anthony Barocas on StreamTek. Oh, wait, and then I can do my little ad. If you haven't already, there is the YouTube channel that looks like this. This is where you find all of the previous shows right here on the live page. You can find all the previous shows. And then you can also find various shorts that we produce right here. And then all of the videos And of course, if you're looking for a specific topic, if you're looking for a particular video mixer, there's actually a search command that a lot of people don't know about. You can actually search all of the content to find that content that has to deal with NDI. If you just wanted to find NDI and you hit enter, then it's going to go through here and it's going to show you all of the NDI content that's been produced where I talk about NDI. And that is a fantastic feature of YouTube. So if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, go check it out, subscribe, hit the bell, do all these great things. And as someone asked a couple weeks ago, no, I haven't set up memberships yet, but I'm looking to do that. Apparently there's a couple hurdles I have to go through to get that all integrated. So thank you again to our guests for the 2025 show. As you've seen, it is, what number is this show? Number 96. 4 more shows to 100. No, 3 more shows, and that'll be my 100th show. So thank you all for being there along this journey. Thank you for being part of it. I hope this has helped you, and I look forward to being there next week for you. Thanks again.